Well, welcome everybody to the next episode of Agents Helping Agents. This is episode 8. Now, this one, we don't actually have an agent, but we have someone that services agents. And I think that it's very important that we bring Mel onto this webinar and really help the agents out understanding that right now, styling and marketing is something that we should not be not spending money on, getting the owners to actually invest in. Now's the time that this is the information that we need to be giving the owners that, yes, you still need a style, you still need a market. So Melanie, thank you for taking some time out of Easter. We're on, Easter Saturday, and you've probably got your kids running around. You're probably welcome to have a bit of time away from them, seeing we can't socialise with the rest of the family.
True.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
So tell us what you do.
Happy to be working over Easter, quite frankly.
That's it. So tell us a little bit about what you do, what your business is, and how people can get in contact with you if they've got more questions after this.
Sure. So I run a property and interior styling business called Stagency. You can contact me on 0418 114 893. Happy to have a chat to any of your agents. And our website is stagency, stagency.com.au. And look, we're in Brisbane, but we've had to adapt with everything that's going on. We are starting to do virtual consults for people selling their property as well as interior styling, who basically jump on board on Zoom or any video app and jump on board with us for a couple of hours, walk us through their house, and we will go through and tell them how to prepare it for sale.
So your main job and how we met was you styled some properties for us before, and we had some great success on that. But you've actually styled what you call style to stay. You've had some clients that we've sold properties before, and they found you, and they end up using you to style the properties as well for them to move into.
Yeah, and it's actually been a great transition for our business to do both. So what we're finding is that the transformation of properties with clients, when they come into the properties after we've styled them, they're really blown away, and they see their house in a whole different light. And what happens is after the property sells, and usually quite fast if we work with Zach, so after the property sells, they come back to us when they move into their new house, and they say, look, we love the job that you did. Can you buy us furniture for our new house and style our new house? And so that has actually become a very big part of our business, which has been great.
Not a bad job getting a blank check from an owner saying, here, go and buy furniture for me, is it?
It's not usually blank, mate, trust me. Trust me.
So the reason why I wanted to get you on during Easter is that, and look, we're in Queensland, I'm in Queensland, and this webinar is going out to the real estate community, which is over 10,000 real estate agents from around the world, not just Australia. But in Victoria at the moment, Victorians are now restricted on doing inspections on properties that people live in. So, you know, if I was to sell your home and you're living in it, you would have to move out for me to be able to do that. Now, I don't know if that's ever going to happen in Queensland, but that's obviously, it's a massive concern. So I actually pushed away some agents I was going to speak to, find out what they're doing, and wanted to speak to you because if that was the case, our conversations would have to be to owners now, you need to move out, you need to get a stylist in just so we can actually bring buyers through.
Yeah.
So what would be some conversations that we would be having right now to some owners, do you think, and how some ways that we'll be selling, styling and the benefits to them, you know, especially with what we're going through now when people don't want to spend any money at all?
Specifically as in the situation in Victoria right now, look, being told that you have to move out of your property to sell it is pretty tough for a lot of people. Luckily, we tend to deal more with people who have vacant properties. They've already moved out. Then they see it empty and they realise that it needs to be styled and look like it's lived in. We have actually moved away, not permanently, but we've moved away from doing partial installs where we install when people are living in the property. So we can still do that, but obviously they can't do that in Victoria anymore. Yeah. So I guess a situation as an agent, you could say to those people, if they're in a situation where they have to sell and they're going to have to get out of the property to sell the property, they don't necessarily have to move all their furniture out. Yeah. They could just move all their personal items out and leave the bigger items in the house and then work with the stylist and, you know, get a stylist on board, have the stylist go to the property when there's no one there and look at what furniture is there. Or do a virtual consult with a stylist and say, keep these big items in your home and we will just bring in lamps and artwork and floral and bedding and make it look beautiful for presentation. But I think that's a really big thing, instead of saying to them, you have to move every single thing out of your house, which is a huge job.
Yes.
You know, and they're probably already panicked about the fact that they have to move out. So I think for people in Victoria, and if that happens in Queensland, wow. You know, that's definitely a way for agents to deal with it. As far as agents talking to their clients about staging and property styling, look, I think there are agents who are on board with styling and there's agents who aren't. It's that simple. And the agents who aren't generally don't see the value in it. And that's usually because they're uneducated about it. You know, styling does bring good return on investment. Good styling does bring return on investment.
Well, that's it. So one of the things that we learned is that property stylists are pretty much an agent's best friend. And you've obviously, we spoke about this a little bit earlier. You've got a couple of points on that. What is it that really, you know, you're able to make it, you know, all of those little points that we spoke about before makes it easier for us, but what else is there?
Well, look, at the end of the day, we're actually there to make your life easier. We're there to make the property look good for presentation. Any good agent will know that a good looking property is a lot easier to sell than an ugly looking property. We help you make that emotional connection for the buyers. That emotional connection is such a big thing. If you can make that emotional connection when they walk in the front door of that property, even currently, you can make the emotional connection with the photos. They look at the photos and they're like, oh, I definitely want to go and see this property. There's your in. They're in the door to see the property. Then you make the emotional connection when they're in the property. 90% of people don't have the ability, of your buyers as agents, don't have the ability to walk into an empty house and say, oh, I know where the couch will go, and I know, they don't have to get that feeling. So that's 90% of people. If you can make an emotional connection with 90% of people with styling, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah. One of the biggest things that we sold a lot of units in our time when we first started in Chermside, and that was the boom of when it was all going through. And people just had no idea. And it happens in every empty home anyway. People will walk in and go, no, the property's too small. You're looking around going, they had a king-size bed in here. And people just, people just can't visualize. So one of the things you were talking about, the emotions, you know, create a sale, but you know, emotions create records. It's something that we know we've done together a few times before. It's not just about the styling, it's about the marketing, but creating that emotional purchase is so important. And right now, because everyone is trying to buy cheap properties, having an emotional buyer is more important than ever before. And as you spoke about, people just don't have the imagination on there. So I've already got 2 good points on there that, you know, we'll reference through on the day. The other thing is too, that obviously if people can, watching this, if people can find a good stylist that they trust, they can actually, like now, because this is it going out to agents to try and help them get listings and extra, you know, profit for the owners. A good stylist can actually bring you some extra leads, can't they?
They can. Zach knows about this. So, look, generally when people call us, so, you know, a lot of my work comes through word of mouth and social media. It also comes from me investing in SEO and my Google, but a lot of it comes through word of mouth. And when somebody comes to me, and if they've already got that little bit of trust in me because someone has recommended me, so then when I get to the stage where I'm in front of them, whether it be on video or in their home in the future again, the thing I find a lot, and this is no exaggeration to agents, is 80% of those people that I see who are about to hire me to spend a substantial amount of money with me to make their home look beautiful. One of the key questions I say to them in the initial, in fact, I even ask them this during the phone interview part of it, before I see them, is have you got an agent? Who's your agent? And 80% of them will say no. Is there someone you can recommend?
Yep.
It comes back to property stylists are your friends. And for some reason, and I don't actually know what the reason is, but I'm thinking that it's the connection of them trusting us to style their home. They trust our references.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't just say, look, you have to use this agent. We will recommend agents who, I personally will only recommend agents who I believe can do a good job. I won't recommend agents just for the sake of recommending agents. And I think that's a really important thing for the agents out there to know, that property stylists are not just another service as an add-on. They can be really beneficial, and it works both ways. Look, it works both ways. If you have a good relationship with an agent, you and I work well together. We do social stuff together.
We work
and it's, pink. Look, I will pink for him. So, you know, the thing is, and when Zach and I work together on a property, I will ask Zach for that video and the photos to use from the property, even though I'll pay for my own photos to be taken for use for my website, etc. I will still ask Zach for those, and he will willingly give them to me, and I will put them on my social media, and I will tag you, and I will link you, and I will promote the property. And I think at the moment I'm around 9,000 Facebook followers. You know, that's an open-ended opportunity to any agents. Let your stylist promote the property.
It's great exposure from an agent. So the reason why I mentioned that is, you know, you can get you can help agents get leads, and it goes the opposite way around. Is that we're all taught from all these real estate experts and agent and trainers to go out and find the local plumber, and go out and find the painter, and go find the gardener, and these are the guys that are in people's houses.
Yeah.
But you know, there's one person that they generally forget to talk about, and that's fucking talking to a stylist. And you're like,
I know.
The guys like are going with the people that are actually selling, not someone just painting someone's fence because they've got to, you know, repaint something. So one of the things, make sure that you are obviously, and stylists are going to only work with agents that they think are the right fit. They're not just going to do it just because, you know, they like you or something. They want their business to grow, and they want to make sure that the agents they're recommending are the right agent. So make sure you get a good little relationship with a stylist, because as I said, you know, we just spoke about then, it gives leads on both ends. You've had leads from me, I've had leads from you, and it's been an equal bit of business for each other, which has been great.
Share the love, mate. Share the love. And I mean, look, quite frankly, just having the ability to speak to agents as a stylist and bounce off you guys and say what's happening in the marketplace. I will always ring an agent I work with. When I go on board with someone with styling a property, I work with that agent. What do you want? How many bedrooms? How do you want the bedrooms styled? Who's the target market? Who's the demographic? Like, any good stylist will do that. They won't just, you should be communicating with the agent. Yep. You know, and you talked about the local referrals of the plumbers, the painters, and whatever else. Well, guess what? Any good stylist already has those. You don't then have to recommend them. The stylist, I find a lot when I go into a property. So I usually do an initial 2-hour consult, and this goes in. I will talk to the agent. I will talk to you guys before I go in, and then I will spend 2 hours with the client, and I will look at the property through a buyer's eye. So I'll say, you need to change all those light bulbs. They're all different colours. You need to fix this paint. You need to fix this. You need to do this. And then I'll say, oh, do you have someone that can do that? Yes, bring them up. So it's saving you guys more work again. So
someone like me, who I'm not a very stylish guy. I'll admit that straight away. This pink jacket started a couple of years ago as a bit of a joke, and I've just kind of run with it, and I actually quite like it.
It's good.
When I walk through someone's home, I'm one of those simple guys. Like, I look at things and go, oh yeah, I could fit a big bed, I could fit a big TV, I could fit a big whiskey cabinet in it, and that's kind of what I look at. I don't look at things like, you know, the flowers and the plants and how a couch should be fitted.
But you're male.
That's right. So having someone like yourself there to take that conversation away from me, and also it's easy because one of the things that we want to talk to an owner when we're sitting down to listen to presentation, and we walk in and go, oh, look how much shit they've got in their house. Now, we can't say that. Well, sometimes we do say that. We're okay.
Yes.
And we sometimes call it, I call it clutter, and then my partner Alinta will kick me under the table.
Declutter.
Don't call their stuff clutter because they might like it. And it's like, well, it is clutter.
Let's go to the tip.
You're the bad person, and you're also getting paid to be the bad person, where we're trying to get the listing still to do it. So having someone like you who is up to the latest trends and stuff like that, and we can tell you the kind of buyer that would generally buy that home, you're able to tell them, hey, this needs to go, that needs to go, this needs to be cleaned up. So it takes a job away from an agent, you know, telling them all these little that you don't want to talk about.
Well, you look, like you say, you don't actually feel comfortable saying that to a client. But for some reason, I will always say to a client, don't be offended by what I say. You're hiring me to make your home look beautiful. I'm going to tell you what you need to do that. It's nothing personal. They never get offended. I'm very upfront like that. I'm an upfront person, but I will say that to the client nicely. You can usually gauge how emotional they are about selling their home to. You have to be a little bit careful if they're really connected to the property and they really don't want to sell it. You know, so I'm able to do that. I'm also able to say to them, look, if you don't get rid of that, and do that, it's not going to look any good.
Yep.
And they'll go, okay. And then they make a little to-do list as they're talking to me, or they record me.
It's great how you get paid to tell them off and we don't. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Going to, and this is even before COVID kind of came into place, styling was becoming more and more important. But anyway, so last year, obviously, it started getting really important. We started to see it in development, you know, properties about 5 years ago. But now it's finding, you know, especially where we're selling Sandgate, Brighton and some other areas in that 700 to 800, 900,000 dollar range, a lot of people are moving out first, styling it and doing it through. But with the changes of what's happening today, why is it even more important to get that, do you feel?
Look, I think it's always been a case of, you know, long gone are the days of sitting down on a Saturday morning and reading the real estate section. I mean, I'm sure there's people that still do it, but I personally never have time to read a newspaper. It's not in my agenda. It's online. So people will go online to look at properties. The first thing they'll look at is the area. The second thing they'll select is number of bedrooms in their range, put their ranges in and their price range. Then the properties will come up. Third thing is, what do you think it is? It's how the property looks. So everything is about those photos. No matter if you take the photos, it's going off, whatever. My teenagers are texting me. If you take photos of properties with your phone to put on the portals, there's an issue.
Yeah.
All right. And there's some shocking ones on there, and I'm sure all the agents have seen it. You guys should all be investing in good photographers, good video. Right now, 3D renderings, floor plans, everything that they cannot see at a Saturday open house. Then, from what I understand, you make appointments, private viewings, correct?
At the moment, yeah, it's gone down to private inspections only.
Right. So for a person to get through the door to the private inspection, they've got to be pretty keen on the property, which I guess is an advantage to you guys at the moment. It gets rid of the time wasters. But what's going to get them through the door?
Yeah.
What's going to get them to the property?
So that's always been a big thing, is that, and it's really interesting to see when you actually style a property or when it's been on the market with somebody else. And there was a property in Deagon that we took on after an agent had it for 6 months. It was a brand new home, and it got styled. And in less than like 16 days, we actually had someone fly up from St Kilda because it was a similar kind of property that they were looking for. And they saw it all from social media. They actually saw the video from that, but it was the styling. Like, I'll try and take credit every day of the week for my videos and marketing. The most simplest thing that the owner did was putting a stylist through, and it just changed the way the property looked. It actually looked good. So my big question here, and we've had a conversation, I think, a couple of weeks ago about this, virtual furniture versus real furniture.
Yes.
What's the debate there for you?
Okay, I did ask that the question, I admit. I said to him, God, do I need to go into virtual styling with the change of this? And he's like, what?
Yep.
And I was like, no, too hard a basket. Look, we have always had the feeling of not understanding virtual styling. And to be honest, I would say since COVID, I've definitely looked at it and I can see why people are doing it. Obviously, it's an extremely cheaper option than styling property. But the reality is, what happens when the people get to the property and there's no bloody furniture in there? Like, they're going to walk in, so you've gone to all that effort to get them to the property, and then really, are you going to piss them off? Because they're going to walk in and they're going to be like, it doesn't look like the photos. So how do you actually deal with that, Zach? How would you deal with that?
So I haven't done virtual furniture photos for about 4 years, I think. I'm just going back to my last one. It was a developer who didn't want to do it. So I just kind of paid for 4 or 5 photos to be done anyway. Back then, I think we were using one of the best companies you could possibly get at the time, and you could still see it was all fake. Now it's getting a little bit better where you can actually see it. And you kind of have to look at certain things and go, oh, that's really fake.
I can spot it, but the average person can't always.
My quickest way to spot it is there's no fridge, it's furnished, it's been styled. Well, we would have people disappointed that they would turn up, and again, they thought we at least got them to the property. So look, if you can't get styling there, and you can get $50 or $75 or $100 per photo to do
Not everyone can. Let's get real.
It's going to be better than not doing anything at all, but you are right. That whole disappointing factor when they get there, to me, is actually worse than getting somebody there. Try and explain that because I probably didn't say that right. I would prefer someone go when they look at empty photos and they turn up and go, oh yeah, this is how it was, instead of them turning up going, oh, but I thought it was a size bed and the whole disappointing thing. So I've always preferred, we get massive numbers at our open homes. A lot of the times, one of our last properties, we had 86 groups through. Thank you for the styling and that one. If we got people coming through and they were disappointed with it from the photos and like that, the attitude changes and the energy drops in the property. And I find that if the energy drops, generally we don't get anywhere near a good price for it compared to what we could have done.
There's your emotional connection gone.
That's right. Exactly right. So I try and strike it out. I try not to do the virtual furniture at all. We had that conversation. We hadn't even spoken about that before this webinar. I just thought I'd throw that in and just have a bit of a chat to you about that.
Well, actually, interestingly enough, I had a gentleman ring me the other day out of the blue, and he said, oh, I don't know if this is something you can answer, but I was wondering if you can help me. And I said, absolutely. And he said, I've got a property for sale in Camp Hill, but we're living in it, and there's a number of my family members living in it. It's a bit of a weird situation. And I was just wondering what you think about virtual styling. He actually asked me that. And so I told him what I thought. And then I said, can I ask the price point of the property? And he said around $2 million. And I said to him, okay, why would you virtually style a property worth $2 million? He goes, well, that's what I thought, but I don't know that we can move out. I said, I understand. I said, but you're better off leaving it empty. Or you're better off living in it and moving, like not being there for opens. Do a virtual consult for 2 hours and I'll tell you what to do.
Get a storage.
Do not put virtual photos in a $2 million property. And he was very thankful. And the no business came out of it, whatever. But why would you do it?
Yeah.
Why would you do it? If I was spending $2 million, that will never happen, buying a property, I would be pretty annoyed if I turned up and there was no furniture in it and online it was all style.
Well, think about America. Like America will, of the big properties, $100 million or whatever, or $50 million home, they actually include the furniture with the whole property. It's a turnkey thing. You walk in, it's all been done.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, it'd be fantastic. But it's
people do ask when we sell the houses, can we buy the furniture? And then when we tell them how much it is, they go, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, no, that's like the desk on Albany Creek one that me and Julie still want. So, I'm just having a quick read. I had some questions written down. Having the conversation. Oh, hang on. How did the property styling conversation with your buyer?
Really?
With your sellers and stuff. So, if we touch base on having the conversation with the sellers, obviously bringing better price points, quicker time, lower time on market, getting more.
Look, I think, you've just got to, a lot of agents are pretty nervous to have that conversation with their sellers, like to say to them basically, spend more money. You're going to spend this much money on me as an agent. Now I want you to spend some more money. Yeah. But I think if an agent, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can ask your stylist to help you. At the moment, ask the stylist that you use to have a 15-minute video consult for free, which they will do with your client to talk to them. Let the stylist do the legwork. Let them do the work. Let the stylist show them the difference in a house. Usually if you can show a client the difference before and after, magic happens. Yeah. They see it and then they're like, okay, I get it. So I think, or, just be game enough to have that conversation. It's going to benefit you in the end.
Look, I think,
and it does. Look, for us personally working together, we've had very fast sales and good sales prices. And the return on investment, for me personally, for my clients, has always, except for one property in 4 years where she didn't take a very good offer and she should have, and she sat on the market for 6 months. Apart from one property, every client has made their money back. and what they have spent on styling and the real estate fees and then some.
Yeah, and look, it is one of the things. It's easy for us to talk about it because I guess we've had a lot of case studies. We've done it a lot of times before. I can easily get you on the phone. You know, it's not a hard conversation for us to have because I've got your support. But I guess there's a lot of new agents, and like the past 2 years, there's been a ton of new agents come into the industry that are probably in areas that they've probably no one ever styles anything, and it probably is time to start looking at those kind of stuff. So I know you can't tell me because every single property is different, but can you try?
How much? $1 million question.
What the question that everyone's going to be sitting back? Well, they're talking about styling. Is it going to be $20,000, 10 grand? Is it $3,000?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it's a question I get all the time. All the time. How much does it cost? And yes, every property is unique. That's totally true. Do you have 2 lounge rooms? Do you have 2 decks? Do you have? You know, it is very dependent on that. Just as a lot of new agents have come on board, there's been a lot of new stylists come on board. It's been a huge growth in the industry. I think COVID will knock out a whole lot of them who won't persevere through it. Look, you'll get stylists. Let's say we've got a 2-bedroom unit. Average Joe Blow, 1 lounge room, 1 dining room, ensuite, 2 bedrooms, right? Average price can be, you will pay anywhere, I would say, between $2,500 to $7,000. That is the range of what you will pay in styling fees. I'm not a cheap stylist, and I never apologise for that. I'm good at what I do. You're good at what you do. You know, it's like agents charging your percentage rates. You should never apologise for what you charge if you're good at what you do. I get results from my clients. That's the way it works.
Yeah. So the costing thing really, because if you have a really basic unit, you're not going to go out and get the most expensive, you know, single Hamptons chair. And again, I'm going to show you how unstylish I am.
Hamptons, oh my God, shoot me, yes.
You're not going to get like a really expensive thing that doesn't fit for that property. So, you know, it might be a bit cheaper for certain properties than others, but it is about the actual styling. So if you're styling something in Paddington compared to, say, something in Castledine, it's going to be 2 different styles.
Yes.
And you'll be using, you know, obviously probably different size as well. But if they were the same size property, similar kind of aspects, you're going to be different styles. So it's going to be different costs involved with everything as well. So
different style. The styles don't change the price. The styles don't change the price. Look, it doesn't matter. You're still going to use a double bed, things. It's not so much the styles that change the price. It is totally the property.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right. If something's set for sale at Camp Hill for $2 million and something is set for sale at Castledine for $2 million, which I don't know if that happens. I don't know, you're the expert. So the property styling would still be the same price.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know, it's not about that. It's really just about the property.
So one of the things, if anyone is watching this and you're going, oh, but I can't convince my owners to spend $4 grand, $5 grand, $6 grand on marketing, and you're selling an $800,000 property or whatever it is, and marketing and we'll call it staging, put it as one. There are systems out there called VPA Pay. There are, you know, interest-free things for exact systems. So if you're an agent or an agency, investigate that. We use a company. You know, I'm not here to promote anyone in particular, and maybe I might actually get one of those companies on board and do an interview because we can explain what it's all about. But there's 3 or 4 out there, and that does cover the styling. It covers the marketing, and what I've just found out, we can actually include the building and pest on it as well. So they don't pay.
Which is huge.
It's a massive thing. Instead
of settlement. And it's huge. And I mean, we personally, you will find there's quite a few styling companies. We have the ability to offer part of styling with one of the companies that we use on interest free. You know, they're a big company. So this thing about outlaying money, and I think agents need to realise that styling, it's an investment. It's not a cost. It's like the marketing. It's like investing. You know, when I sell you to my clients, I say to them, it's about investing in the marketing, and it's about seeing things all over social media, and it's about being known for doing things. So, I mean, look, I will challenge any agent that tells me it's easier to sell an empty property than it is a styled property. I'm happy to have that debate.
Definitely not. All right, so we're going to wrap up. I'm going to do a couple of touch points. Is there anything you want to have a last little conversation about? That's the daughters probably next door.
Yeah, daughter's calling me to take her to work.
All right.
No, all good. We're good, but thanks, Zach. I appreciate that.
That's all right. So I'll just wrap up for you. Emotions create competition, which create great record prices. People don't have imaginations. Costing wise, there are companies out there that will help the owners cover the cost until the actual property sells as well. So, Mel, thank you so much. I'll have all your details.
All right, you're welcome.
I'll have all your details in the post as well. So if anyone wants to reach out, has any questions,
Sure.
then I'm sure you will welcome.
I'm happy to talk to any agents. If they want to talk to me and ask me questions, happy to talk to them.
Perfect, guys. And my next webinar, we have got David Parry from Tasmania. If you know who David Parry is, he is $1 Million Bogan's sidekick, Danny Hayes' sidekick when he goes and does these crazy motorbike tours.
It's pretty cool.
It is. I've known David Parry for a long time, and we're going to have a very good conversation. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. And remember, if you've got anyone that you would like me to interview, tag them in the comments. Leave me a comment if there's any specific questions you want answered, and we'll try and help you out in these tough times. So, yeah, thanks, Mel.